Friends, Greg Newmaster coming at you again with another action figure review. Today I have Medicom Mafex Spider-Man Ben Reilly, the clone himself. If any of you grew up in the late 80s and the 90s, you were exposed to the very infamous Clone Saga, which I actually really enjoyed. It was sort of around that time where Superman had died, so there was the reign of the Supermen, where you got the cyborg Superman, the new Superboy, Steel, the Eradicator. Batman gets his back broken, and then there is Azrael, the new Batman who takes over for Bruce Wayne, and he's like the crazy, just dark, even darker, more sort of like Iron Man version of Batman, which was a really cool time. Also, but Marvel had to counter, and they had to do something as well, and they took their biggest character, Spider-Man, and the beloved Peter Parker, and they shook everything up with the Clone Saga. Granted, the clone had been around since the 70s, but then post like Maximum Carnage, post Venom, they needed something new. They needed to rebrand Spider-Man. So in comes Ben Reilly, the Clone Saga, where he returns as the Scarlet Spider, which was an amazing costume, and I really hope that Mafex makes that figure. I kind of wish they would have released that one before they released this figure, but this looks like a really easy figure to make, and they just reused a lot of parts, it looks like. But I'm cool with that. I love this costume. I love Ben Reilly. But anyhow, Ben Reilly returns to New York to see the dying Aunt May. He is the clone at that point, we think. We eventually find out from the Jackal, Professor Miles Warren, who secretly loved Gwen Stacy and has a hatred for Peter Parker, that maybe, in fact, that the Peter Parker that we knew this entire time, who had married Mary Jane, who had fought Venom, who had gone through Maximum Carnage, loved Gwen Stacy, fought the Green Goblin, who the Green Goblin died, went through all that stuff with Harry Osborn, his best friend, and he died as the Green Goblin. We find out that maybe he was actually the clone all along, and that this new guy, Ben Reilly, who had gone away for 10 years or whatever it was actually the real Peter Parker. And this went through like a, I don't know, 3 to 5 year process of messing with all of our minds and wondering who is the real deal. So it's eventually discovered that Ben Reilly is thought to be the real Peter Parker. And at this time period, Mary Jane is pregnant. She's going to have a baby. So it's decided that the clone Peter Parker, who we always thought was the real Peter Parker, and as I'm saying this stuff, this has to be so confusing to you guys. And this is how confusing it was to the readers. He decides to retire as Spider-Man, and Ben Reilly comes back, claims the mantle of Spider-Man again, and we get this new costume. He stops being the Scarlet Spider, becomes Spider-Man. And then at the end of the whole Clone Saga, we find out that Norman Osborn, this was a huge reveal, it was mind-blowing, was actually not dead. The original Green Goblin had survived, and he was pulling the strings. And both Peter Parker, the clone, and both Ben Reilly, the real Peter Parker, fight the Green Goblin and take him down, but Ben Reilly sacrifices his life and he dies in the arms of Peter Parker. And we find out that all along he was the clone, and the Peter Parker that we always loved and adored and who had married Mary Jane and had that life, he was the real Spider-Man all along. And that's the Clone Saga in a nutshell. But anyhow, I fell in love with the character of Ben Reilly. I really enjoyed him. I like the Scarlet Spider. I know that they brought him back in recent years and they've been doing crazy stuff with him. But the original Clone Saga, the original Ben Reilly, I love the Scarlet Spider. I love the new costume and how he became the new Spider-Man. He had the web shooters that were on the outside of his gloves. That was always like a neat visual gimmick. And then he had the impact webbing and all that fun stuff. So here we go. I'm going to stop rambling. I'm going to get into the review and take a look at this awesome figure that they finally made. Mafex, I think they just do 6-inch action figures better than anybody else. They're better than Marvel Legends. They're better than Bandai. They're just the best in my opinion. So here we go. For any Ben Reilly fans out there, there's the box. I actually don't know what this means here. It says I gotta pray for 2 things. Maybe that's a reference to the clones. I literally have just reread all of this, and I don't remember him saying that in the comics, but whatever. They put that quote there. If somebody in the comments could let me know what this is from, this quote in the image here, I'd appreciate that. There's the side of the box. There's the back of the box. And I just love this costume. It's such a simple redesign, but it's so dynamic. And it just has that personality of Ben Reilly in it. It's just a nice combination of the original Spider-Man costume and the Scarlet Spider costume. There he is on the side of the box. And there is the bottom of the box. Always make sure it has this sticker here to show that it is a real Medicom Mafex product. And let's bust this open and take a good look at Ben Reilly Spider-Man, one of my all-time favorite Spider-Mans. So that's the inside of the box too. They have this nice green webbing that looks really nice. Oh, there's the top of the box too. That's a Mark Bagley image of Ben Reilly. And when Ben Reilly debuted his new Spider-Man suit, it was Bagley who drew him first. I'm pretty confident. So I'm going to pull this open so it doesn't explode all over the place, which always happens to me. And it looks like they didn't use any different parts. I was really surprised when I got this because I pre-ordered it a long time ago. And with all the supply chain issues, it's very interesting. Like, all these figures are coming out of order. But I can understand why this one came, because it just looks like reused parts. And it's a very simple design, so I don't think they had to do too much. Oh, and there goes all the pieces like always, but that's okay. But anyhow, I don't think they had to do too much to make this figure new. So this is the same exact head sculpt. So Spider-Man came with 2 head sculpts previously from the Mafex Spider-Man comic version. So he came with this head sculpt. So that's just like a different mask. It looks like a John Romita Jr. version of the mask. I may put that one on. And the figure itself comes nicely wrapped in this plastic, which I really appreciate it. Just a really nice, crisp paint job. A nice matted red, but it's like that cherry red, so it's really popping. Like a nice royal blue, it looks like, instead of a lighter blue or a more metallic sort of blue they used on the original figure, the Mafex Spider-Man. It's just a gorgeous looking figure. Oh, and look at that nice little detail on the inside of the web shooter. Instead of just using a universal sculpt where all these web cartridges look the same, there is like the spinneret like right there. So that's just a nice little touch that they didn't have to do. But you can actually see the spinneret and the web shooter itself on the inside of his web shooters. So that's really awesome. Really beautiful figure. This is the same exact head sculpt that came on the previous Spider-Man figure. As I just said, I have mine on magnets, as there goes all the heads. But anyhow, see, I like to put my Venom in my Spider-Man right there. So that's the original Spider-Man. And I'm going to pull him down for you guys just so you can see and we can do a comparison. But, so they did 2 versions of the comic book Spider-Man, the Mafex comic book Spider-Man, and they did a repaint, like a more comic book, repaint. So if you can take a look here at the comparison, so these are the same exact head sculpts, but the Ben Reilly version has a really nice new paint job, and this red really stands out. This is sort of like washed over, has like a wash on it. This blue is like a metallic blue, where this is like a nice matted royal blue. So it looks really nice. It looks just like the Begley cover. So beautiful, beautiful. And I just love the design of the spider. I always loved how it was blown up and it's big, and it kind of just covers his entire chest and his back, and that's what they look like from the back. Just a gorgeous costume design. I was always a big fan of the Ben Reilly, both Ben Reilly costumes, the Scarlet Spider and him as Spider-Man. Another big draw to this figure that made me want to get it was the alternate Ben Reilly head sculpt. So that looks fantastic. Just the nice fake blonde hair, and he always had the brown eyebrows. Here is the Peter Parker head. So, and I always thought it was funny because they would just say that Ben was Peter's cousin on his mother's side. and the Ben Reilly name is, it's a combination of Ben is Uncle Ben's name, and Reilly, I think Riley is Aunt May's maiden name, if I remember that correctly. And that's what it looks like from the side. Let's get it to focus there. That's what it looks like from the back. Just look at that attention to detail in the hair. Just a nice blonde color. All the sculpt work just looks really good. So that is Ben's head. And he has that nice 90s haircut. Sort of a bowl cut. Sort of what's it called? A pomp, or the Elvis haircut. My mind is slipping me right now. But anyhow, that's the Ben head. And what do we get? So we get one set of open hands. So these could be used for the crouching. And just look at the gloves there. That's a nice look too. Sort of like the Gambit gloves, where two of the fingers are blue, but they gave like the red instead of the cut off fingertip. So these are the crouching hands. So when he does in the crouching spider position, you get the magnetic feet, which I like to put on because I like to display my figure where he's wall crawling. Oh, look at that. So there's also a piece right in the gloves there inside of the hands. Maybe that's for the impact webbing. I'm not sure exactly what that is for. I don't know if that's a mistake. But inside of the hands, there's a little piece there. Because Miles Morales, he has like the little darts that he shoots, but I can't remember if Ben shot any darts. There's the web shooting hands, so those look really good. Here's the web holding hands, web swinging hands. We get the magnet hands, which I like to use as well. And then you just have some generic open hands. They just always give you an overabundance of accessories. Here is a mask, a flat mask, as if he took off his mask. So you have that option as well. And then you have the various webbings. So it's the spaghetti style webbing created by Todd McFarlane that just became a prominent feature whenever any Spider-Man artists drew Spider-Man in the future post Todd McFarlane. So it's the spaghetti style webbing. Again, a short piece of webbing. You just sort of attach it on his wrists, and yeah, and that's him. So it's the same exact articulation. We'll just go over that. He has a nice crunch, full like head movement. Just a nice double joint in the neck and the head, so that's awesome. There's a butterfly joint. It's a little bit limited because of the sculpt, and I don't want to force it. But yeah, so So you can do some nice stuff. He also has the fisted hands that just come on the figures. He has a pretty decent straddle, but it's not quite as flexible as I would like it to be for Spider-Man. The double jointed knees, of course, which I love. Standard ankle articulation. He's got the up and down. There's the pivot. So rocker. And then with Spider-Man and all the Mafex figures, you get the toe articulation as well, which reminds me of the old school Toy Biz, Marvel Legends. Just a beautiful, very beautiful looking figure. I just love this character so much, and I'm so pleased that they release this, and I really, really hope they do a Scarlet Spider. Just really nice dynamic posing. Double jointed elbows. There's a bicep swivel. What else do we have? Ankle or wrist hinge. Comes off real easy. They're always like flat pegs. There's no like sort of nipple on the end that where you have to really pull it off and you can break it. You can't. It looks like the web shooters are glued on, so you can't pull the web shooters off. If you were wondering about that. So just a really, really beautiful figure. You can see like faint shading. So there is some shading. I can see a little bit of shading in the royal blue with the muscles. Very subtle though. And I'll switch the head off because I want to see what he looks like with the Ben Reilly head. Oh, I can just get that on there without breaking it. And there we go. And there he is, man. He just looks... That's a handsome devil there. Here he is with... this is a custom Scarlet Spider I did. Made out of a bootleg of the comic book version of Spider-Man. So, just, if you've never seen the Scarlet Spider... this is what the Scarlet Spider looks like. This is a custom I did. Made out of this body mold. So I can't wait for them to do their version of the Scarlet Spider. I really hope they do a Scarlet Spider. Even though it was fun making my own custom, it's not that good, but whatever. And there he is, guys. Ben Reilly, the man himself. He also comes with a stand. It's the same stand that every Mafex figure comes with, though, so I'm not going to open that up for you guys on camera. If you guys like the video, please like and subscribe. I highly recommend this figure. He's just so awesome, especially if you're a fan of Spider-Man and you're a fan of Ben Reilly and the Spider-Verse. And I hope to see Ben Reilly in the new Spider-Verse movie. God bless you all. Peace.